The studio lights were warm, but the room felt unusually quiet as the legendary actor and director Clint Eastwood walked onto the stage of the Oprah Winfrey Show. The audience rose to their feet, applauding loudly. Sitting across from him, smiling with her familiar warmth, was Oprah Winfrey. Clint tipped his head politely, that same quiet cowboy presence the world had known for decades. But today, something in his eyes looked softer, almost reflective. Oprah leaned forward slightly. "Clint, people know you as the tough man, the cowboy, the legend. But today I want to know the man behind all that." The audience fell silent. Clint let out a slow breath and smiled faintly. "Well, Oprah," he said, his deep voice calm and steady, "the tough guy thing, that was mostly the movies." A few people chuckled. "But life," he continued, "life humbles you." Oprah nodded gently. "Was there a moment that changed you?" Clint paused. For the first time, he looked away from the cameras and down at his hands. "You spend your younger years chasing success," he said. "Movies, awards, the next big role. But one day you wake up and realize time moves faster than you expected." The room was completely still. "I remember one night," Clint continued. "I was sitting alone after a premiere, huge success, everyone celebrating. But when I got home, the house was quiet, no applause, just silence." Oprah's expression softened. "And that's when it hit me," Clint said. "Fame is loud, but life is quiet." The audience listened closely. "What really matters," Clint continued, "are the people who sit with you in that quiet." Oprah smiled warmly. "Family." Clint nodded slowly. "Family, friends, the people who knew you before the cameras did." For a moment, his voice grew softer. "You know, people think strength means never showing emotion. But real strength," he said, looking back at Oprah, "is being grateful for the life you lived." A woman in the audience wiped away tears. Oprah leaned closer. "Do you ever regret anything?" Clint thought for a moment. "I regret the moments I worked too much," he admitted. "But I'm grateful I lived long enough to understand what really matters." The audience applauded softly. Oprah smiled. "You know something, Clint? After all the characters you've played, I think this might be the most powerful role yet." Clint raised an eyebrow slightly. "What's that?" Oprah grinned. "Being yourself." The audience erupted into applause. Clint chuckled quietly, that legendary half-smile appearing. "Well," he said, "that's the only role I never had to audition for." The crowd laughed, and Oprah stood up to hug him as the applause grew louder. For a moment, the tough cowboy from the movies looked less like a legend, and more like a man who had finally found peace with the road he had traveled. Sunrise clapper.